Untangling. For some, this may seem very confronting. And in this moment, I'd like to speak to the women. Men, you might have this as well, but I definitely have heard a lot of women. I have been this. And the words that I used to say is, I couldn't possibly lose control, or there's no way that I could get in touch with my emotions. There's no way I can start crying because I would never stop. Yeah, those things that we say, those are beautiful invitations to get curious with that. So here's an exercise. This is something I started a practice of doing many, many years ago when I first started this untangling process. And when I reflect on it, I kind of ran into it in unawareness, but knowing that I just needed it. I didn't have the words for it, and I just knew I needed it. And what it was I gave myself radical time to just be with myself. And it was in the bathtub. So I would create a ritual, bring candles, make a bath for myself, put whatever you want in the bath. At that time, now I put intentional teas in there. So I'll put nettle and raspberry leaves, rose petals. I may put hops in there too. So yeah, I like to do like whatever you would actually drink, put that in your bath. So anyway, my ritual and that I'd like to share with you is a bath time ritual. And this will kind of help uncover these pieces that you may not be aware of. And in this bath time ritual, what I noticed is when I would be in silence, I may have music going, but silence to just silence my body. That is a huge, huge thing. I found to shut off my freaking brain. It was going all the time. And so I developed these practices to try to shut off the freaking brain. And so one of them, in the bathtub, I would put my head underneath the water, my eyes as well. So I would actually bend my neck back, kind of float my body. You'll have to play with your own body. I've got like kind of a slender body, so it can float on the top, and then I can just arch my back and arch my neck and rest my head in the water so that only my nose is out. And truly, my eyes are covered in water. You'd have to try it out. So I would do this, and then I would be in this position of silence. And what I noticed is I could only actually muster this position for a few moments before I had this odd feeling come over me that I was being watched. And it was so odd. Like, the door's closed. I know nobody's in there. I was in a safe space. Chad's in the other room, so it's not like there's any stranger that could possibly even be in the house. I didn't have any fear with Chad. There was nothing around it, but I had this odd feeling of being observed. And when I share this reflection with other women, I've experienced other women have felt this as well. And I feel like this really taps into, this perceived safety that us women have gone through, where really unconsciously we are always on high alert for safety. So in this observance, I noticed that there were many other women that felt the same, that they struggled as well with meditation perhaps, or just closing their eyes. But specifically, I found there was a lot of women in their bath that just couldn't close their eyes and be with themselves in the bath. And so I only discovered this after I started sharing this with other people, that that's actually what I was doing. So I did this for years, and it was a freaking process to get comfortable. I realized with myself, there was no perceived danger. There was no perceived threat. I wasn't in any harm's way. There was nobody coming out to get me. And this odd feeling of being watched was something that that was just had been there. Since these practices that I've done, it's not a feeling I have anymore. And I just want to speak it. I'm curious if anybody else out there has had that feeling. And it's curious. And if you don't know, go have a bath. Have a bath. Stick your head under the water. Just keep your nose out. It's actually a really cool practice. Your ears are in the water. Sound is distorted. It's an interesting practice to do, and feel the feels that come up. And so I guess that's where I want to kind of sit with is the elusive feelings, the emotions in our body. And we're in times to feel these. We are really in times to feel these. And it's in these beautiful, beautiful, precious moments that you create for yourself, for you to be with them. And so I share it because I had struggles in quieting my mind. So bath time was a really beautiful practice. And in that discovery, I was like, holy shit, like, why do I feel like I'm being watched? And then you get to be with whatever comes up. So I would really love for you to try that on and share what comes up for you. And maybe this doesn't resonate with you. You know, that's the beauty in all of this is we all have our own unique experiences. And so that was one of mine. And I've realized that if it's in me too, then there's somebody else out there that has experienced that as well. And what's coming up for me is discernment in that. If you are in harm's way, and if there is real threat for you, then this is a very different conversation for you. So take care of yourself in that, for sure. If there is no real threat, then this is a curious place to start in unraveling and untangling. Look at that hook of feeling like you're being watched or observed. It's a curious one. Thank you for listening.